What's up, Power Watch fans? We're back. Ghost Book 2, Episode 6.
Knicks need music. HB.
I just caught a vibe with you, baby. Can't wait till I'm inside of you, baby. Waking up inside of you, baby. I just caught a vibe with you, babe. Can't wait till I'm inside of you, babe.
Okay, that was that Dr. Electric. Welcome to the show. As usual, we have our co-host, Eric Evelyn, the lovely B. Limis, and joining us as the guest star on today's show, we have Dr. Electric.
Yo, what's going on, Nuke?
Getting back with it, they started off this show with a bang, didn't they? We kind of like built up to it a little bit. You know, we got our McLean Davis situation going on there, and he's doing a little powwow with Sax. What are they up to, Eric?
Basically, what they're going to do is they're going to set up Tariq without Tasha knowing about it, and they're working together to make sure Tasha gets off with the end goal of Tariq ending up in jail due to what we saw at the end of the last episode when Sax had the recording of Tariq effectively confessing to it while he was at his dad's gravesite.
It looks kind of crazy because they're selecting the jury members and everything before the jury's even in.
One thing I will say to that, though, is that I think the one thing we may need to watch out for, Method Man pulling the double cross on Sax, ending up with both of them off. So it's a win-win for everybody, except for Sax. Yeah, it's a win-win for Method, but, you know, Sax may end up catching the short end of the stick, just like we're kind of used to him seeing.
Yeah, then we forward to the classroom, and who's teaching us but everybody's favorite Professor VY, right?
Jesus Christ. She get better every day I see her.
What you know about that VY, Dr. Electric?
What's VY? What's that?
Vanessa Williams with a tan, bro. You know the deal.
He been calling it that since day one, man. I'm trying to tell you. That's her nickname on this show. You just got to deal with it.
That's innovative for sure.
They were in the classroom and they were talking about fundamentally, are you good or are you evil? And that seems to be the theme of today's show when they went forward from there. Then they get to the actual jury selection, and the judge is shocked because they're actually getting along. What kind of jury they selected there?
Basically, they selected a jury that looked extremely like Tasha. I wish that more of us got juries that look like that, but that's not the realization that, you know, in the world we live in right now. But I mean,
you mean the jury of our peers?
Yeah, well, that wasn't just Tasha's peers. There was 12 people up there, and 11 of them were black. I mean, and that's a little bit unrealistic as well. But obviously, it's a show, and so we love it, and we love to see it. But I think that it could potentially lead to Sax's demise if what I think is possible of the double cross happening. It'll all kind of work into one unit.
All right, so they get through the jury process. They selected the panel that they think would be good for Tasha. Of course, Tariq is not in the picture, so everybody's like, oh, okay, everything is good so far. And then, wait a minute, McLean Davis seems to be doing something behind the scenes a little bit. Oh, is he bringing back a favorite character from the show?
2-Bit.
Yeah, man, that's my dude right there, man.
He got him out. Without 2-Bit having to snitch. That was the first wrinkle in Sax's plan.
When Sax was trying to tell him he was going to compel him to do stuff, he was like, you ain't compelling me to do this.
Trust me, you know, sometimes knowing your rights, especially in, you know, this environment we live in right now, knowing your rights is paramount. Like, a subpoena requires you to show up. It does not require you to say anything. So when you kind of understand those things, you know, you can kind of you can definitely get the upper hand on the individuals that are trying to get you to help them.
Yeah, and then to convince him, I thought it was going to blow up in his face when he brought in Blanca Rodriguez. I was like, wow. I mean, he hates her, but sure enough, you know, it was enough to convince him that, okay, maybe these cats are on the up and up. All right, and another thing, the funniest part of that whole segment, when Blanca set him up, she invited me to a job application, and then next thing you know, boom, pajamas and patakis. Y'all know about pajamas and patakis?
Mm-mm.
Pajamas, that's basically what they wear in, you know, that whole jumpsuit thing that they wear when they're in jail and whatnot. But back in the day, this is only a New York thing. Back in the day, Governor Pataki was running the show, and it was maybe like over 6 years ago, and he brought in a new set of shoes to decrease people smuggling in weapons and things like that. So they started calling them Air Patakis.
That was like the Yeezy slides. That's what that is.
Right? like Air Jordans, but Air Patakis. I was like, damn. They got jokes. So meanwhile, we go back to the family Tejada, man. And when it comes to that family dynamic, Dr. Electric, man, what's going on with that family dynamic, man?
Bruh, I know. It's low-key got me bugging too. You know what I'm saying? First you got Lorenzo. It seems like he's got just enough smarts to be running the organization, balanced out by that raw, just crazy ruthlessness that he needs to be a boss, but he's limited because he's behind, he behind the gates, he in the pen, you know what I'm saying? So then you got Monet. She seems like she's got more smarts than Lorenzo, Remember how he's soft on the GTG boys because their pops took a bullet for him, but, they're posting on the gram, attracting undue attention from the popo, leading Monet to go against them and cut them off, which is a smart move. But she doesn't have the physical intimidation factor to keep everyone in line. She's a little older. Next up, then you got Kane. He's a loose cannon.
No doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Kane's an idiot.
Hey, look, he's
an idiot.
Off the wall with it, just like real emotional with it. Firing his gun at the GTG spot, which led to the police chasing with Ramirez. And, ultimately he had to bail him out, you know what I'm saying? Because he's putting those Weston kids, Trace and Brayden, out on the corner with Officer Ramirez having to bail him out and misdirect the other cops away from Kane. And, you can't be out here with those rich Weston boys they millionaires, you gonna mess up the money taking them out there in the streets like that. And then you got Diana, who may be a better ball player than cousin Zeke, the celebrated baller, but Monet shoots down her dreams because she won't make a lot of money at it. And last but not least, you got Drew, the coaster. He's not concerned with the family business as much as he's concerned about his love life. And all that just makes this whole thing just unpredictable, bro. It's super unpredictable.
Yeah, the family is definitely kind of at a crossroads as far as everybody's intentions and directions right now. And so we're kind of starting to see that family fall apart a little bit. And so it's going to be interesting down the line to now see how Kane responds after, what we saw when the episode ended, how he goes and responds going forward. Because, we know this. There's only two ways he can respond. He's either going to fall in line or he's going to become even more of a rebel. If he were to fall in line, I think it would be to his benefit and to the family's benefit. I think that if he goes and tries to do whatever he wants to do on his own, I think that that's going to land somebody else either dead or in jail because, like you said, he's such a loose cannon. There was no reason to take those boys and put them on the corner. Mm-hmm. One of them was capable. The other was nowhere near capable or comfortable. Right. It was a terrible look.
And how did that all come about? Trace went ahead and stole the product. So, he's a loose cannon on the other side of things. He's Mr. Privilege, and then he's always trying to punk his little brother. And that's how Kane got involved just to start with, because then they would have had the money that they needed to give Kane.
First of all, that much product probably should not have been in your room, fam. Like, you should not have had that much product on you that you were worried if your brother took it. You have this service working, right? You have this service working. These real life gang members and drug dealers, they get caught on tax evasion. They don't get caught for selling drugs.
What's really wild is that, I think Monet's giving Kane a little bit too much, at least too much freedom. I don't think she cracks down as much as she cracks down on Drew and Diana. She put him into work, doing Al's job for him. Back in the supply, counting money, packaging and stuff like that. And just to kind of teach him a lesson. And I'm talking like, okay, well, you look at Drew and you say, okay, he's not really getting it in as far as doing work for the company. But then you remember back to Uncle Frank. And they all cut him up. So that's some serious work right there. And then Diana is always, she never goes against her mom. But why is Monet busting their balls?
Here's the thing, and I'm gonna say this. I think it's tough because she knows that her other two children actually have the ability to be good people. She knows Kane does not have that ability at all. He is going to be an enforcer and someone who is going to help her maintain the business from the street, from the street side. Mm-hmm. So the problem with checking Kane is that you don't want to, soften him up to the point that he's no longer that enforcer that you need, because you're already struggling with the fact that your husband and the real operational brain trust is locked up in jail.
Right.
You're stepping in trying to run someone else's business, although it be, her husband's business. You need a male enforcer out there. I mean, otherwise Monet's got to go out there and start killing people. I mean, it's one or the other.
Needs the muscle.
You need that muscle. Everybody has it. Her muscle might be a little bit too close, and that, it's actually her son. It's creating some very, dicey situations for her because she knows she needs him. At the same time, she does need to check him and put him in his place.
Then moving forward, man, I mean, they got into the big confrontation. Well, she gets the information. Monet gets the information from Ramirez. And then she went ahead and confronted Kane about it. And then Kane was popping off at her, which I thought was like, okay, man, you really stretching it here, because this is the mom who is running things. And then he challenged her authority and all that. And then, he gets into physical confrontations with both his sister and Monet and pushes Monet to the floor. And then it's time to go see Lorenzo.
If you thought Kane was leaving that jail without a pure beatdown, you have not seen any TV shows, movies, anything ever before. I knew when he went into that jail, I was like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
They set us up with the big long speech from Lorenzo about, you gotta relate, blah, blah, blah.
It wasn't no setup to me. I already knew. Lorenzo's like, look, part of the way that he's allowed to operate in that prison the way that he does is because, yes, the guards give him privileges, but he also gives the guards privileges. He gave the guard a nod as he was leaving, because, Lorenzo could have done it himself, but he said, you know what? He's going to get beat down anyways. So let me let them get their racks off real quick. Because it's going to allow me to keep operating in this prison in this fashion.
Running the entire prison.
And if you caught it, because, some people might not have actually, understood the significance, but if you caught it, he said, don't you ever put your hands on my wife. Mm-hmm. He didn't say your mom, nothing. Because he wanted him to understand. At the end of the day, Monet is an extension of him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She's not your mother. She's my wife. Don't you put your hands on her ever again. I think Too Big getting out is gonna play a big factor going forward.
He's gonna link up with Tommy.
I think he's either gonna link up with Tommy, or I think he is going to do whatever he can do to get to Tariq. Because I don't think he trusts Tariq.
Explain that for me, though. I mean, why does he got it out for Tariq?
Because he didn't trust Tariq when Tommy was bringing Tariq around to the warehouse. So there's really only two people that he could feel like for real set him up, because he doesn't really think Blanca set him up. It's got to be Tommy, and I don't think he's gonna assume it's Tommy. Not to mention they threw the little piece of information out there. Oh, you were caught with James St. Patrick's watch on.
Right.
Yeah, and then so why is he trying to link Tariq in there? But he's not trying to link Tariq in there. McClane is. I think McClane is setting up a little false trap again, because they're already making Saxe look bad. So I think he's setting up another trap for Saxe to jump at, and then he's going to jack him up again.
Hey, it's like I said, it's possible, but I know that Two-Bit is pissed that he had to be in jail, and so I know he's looking for somebody to blame. And I think it's either going to fall on Tommy or Tariq, given the fact that we haven't seen Tommy yet in the season, leads me to believe that it's possible that, Tariq's going to come under some scrutiny from Two-Bit.
Now, what we going to do about Riley, man? Riley is a problem. First of all, I can't believe she admitted to accidentally drugging Tariq. So
He didn't even realize it. He didn't even, and she admitted to it, and he still didn't catch it.
Yeah, well, no, he's figured it out, though. It's going to settle in later because, he knows that he passed out, right? And he also knows he wasn't drinking heavily.
I think she's extremely sloppy. Riley's sloppy. She got to be the worst undercover ever in the history of undercovers. He walked in the room. She had his notebooks in her hand.
Oh, that was crazy.
His phone that was in his jacket pocket was on the table. She's extremely sloppy. So the problem is that she's also an extension of Brayden. And so is Tariq going to think that both of them are playing him, or is it just her when he, comes to his conclusion that she's doing something?
She's got to go, man. Now, she took a picture of Tariq's phone, which almost jacked him up with Diana, who Diana was confessing, for feelings, real feelings for Tariq. Did you notice that? Before she rolled out, she's like, when you hurt somebody, I was like, oh, snap. And she got super
jealous. In love with Tariq.
Yeah, and she got super jealous when she thought Loren was in the room and stuff. But now, what's the question? The question is, Riley was taking a picture of a 212 number saying, we got to talk. That was being texted to Tariq. So who was that?
I don't know who's coming from the 212, but I will tell you this. And I'm gonna step off topic for 2 seconds. I think Tariq did the pettiest thing that as a man you could ever do when he decided to walk out and be like, oh, right in front of Lauren's boyfriend.
yeah.
He walked out and he was like,
no cough.
But wait, Tariq didn't walk out. Jamal walked out.
But he also kind of said to him, like, hey, fam, you know my name's not Jamal. And you lucky you knocked on the door when you did.
Take 2 of these and call me in the morning. Isn't that the way we prescribe it, Doc?
I tell you, I was like, whew. Oh, the petty is real.
Savage. Savage for sure.
Pure savage.
Super savage.
Yo, going back to the jury selection, it was wild how they, that Canonis dude, you guys know what's up with that? Dr. Canonis?
Yeah. I think that, the judge was surprised that Sachs was okay with it because she was expecting him to be struck immediately by Sachs, which may end up, another spin here, which may end up in the judge catching on to what's going on. But the two of them are working together.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, though. Canonis, the little behind-the-scenes story, Canonis was there in reality for Power since day one. He was the Spanish dialect coach. Right, so they're plugging him in there, getting him a little shine and whatnot. Speaking of Spanish dialect, tell me why? What's the reason for having a Spanish dialect coach?
Well, because unbeknownst to most people in the United States, not every Latin person speaks the same language. So we all have different ways of saying things in Spanish. So what I would say as a Colombian woman might be totally different. My Spanish might be totally different than as a Puerto Rican or Dominican or some of the other Latin people. And so one of the criticisms that I have in this country is that they tend to bring everybody together and not really differentiate between the Latin groups. And the cultures are different, not just the language, but also the dialects, everything else that comes with our culture and languages are so different from country to country. And we saw this during the elections, where people really, the candidates weren't really differentiating between Cubans and Puerto Ricans and Colombians and Mexicans. And I think that moving forward, it would be great to actually learn more about the culture. So Power is doing a great job in getting somebody there to actually coach, the folks, because it really is different. We don't all sound the same.
So what did you think about that closed caption? Was it accurate? Because when I saw Kane talking to his dad, I could swear he said Lo siento, but basically with the reading on the bottom of it didn't say anything about I'm sorry.
It's pretty accurate. I think he's supposed to be Puerto Rican, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And so I don't really interact much with Puerto Ricans because I live in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, we really don't have a lot of Latin people here. And we don't really have any Puerto Ricans here, really. I have never met a Puerto Rican in Nashville, so I really don't interact much with Puerto Ricans, so I really wouldn't be able to tell what he was saying in Spanish.
Well, we get introduced to alternative lifestyles and whatnot with Drew's situation with the other basketball player. He's like, why aren't you coming out the closet? And the other dude was like, well, I'm not coming out of the closet because I want a pro career. And so he's worried about that. They definitely came to an understanding, I think, by the end of all that.
Being a pro athlete, it's, if you look at it, and although, it's sad that it is the way that it is, but if you look at it, there really has not been an openly gay player on a team sport. I can't speak for the individual sports, but that really stuck around. Like, you had Michael Sam.
Right? He was gone.
Out of the league as quick as they could get him out of there. But the league, like I said, it's as unfortunate as when these sports are not as inclusive. But he was drafted because they knew they had to draft him, otherwise it would be a problem.
Yep, no doubt.
Second, they drafted him, and now the media attention was gone. He's not in the league, and nobody's heard from him ever since.
The only thing that's really left to deal with is, well, first of all, it's super cool that Too Big got out and he was looking at his little James St. Patrick watch. But the other part is Trace going to get the message, or does he need some more convincing?
I think Trace is going to end up needing a little bit more convincing. I don't see Trace surviving much longer.
All right. Yeah. But it looks like there was a poker game with Trace involved, and then all of a sudden Kane is masked up and he's coming in the room robbing folks. So maybe that's part of a little bit more of a lesson in intimidation.
I tell you, man, I think the whole Trace situation is interesting. I know he came in there beating up his little brother, you know what I'm saying? And then before you know it, he ends up on the street getting beat up himself. We'll see which way it goes, man. It certainly had me on the edge of my seat.
All right, no doubt. Well, guys, it's about time for us to wrap up. Thanks for joining us again, and we'll see you next time on the Power Watch.
Good afternoon, Powerheads. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner and that you're taking care of yourselves during this COVID pandemic. Today, I'm going to begin our show with a very, very tasty, sweet drink that I know that you all will enjoy. A cranberry type drink that will go really, really well with your Christmas celebration. We're gonna name this drink the Lauren. Really be careful with this one because it tastes so good. You wanna keep on drinking it really fast. And then by the time you know it, you won't be able to put your Christmas tree together. So all I have to say is that this is actually a wonderful, wonderful drink. And it's inspired by my great-great-great-grandmother. So this is before Prohibition.
Oh, snap.
So here we go. What we're gonna do is that we're gonna mash a little bit of cranberries, which have been mixed with some sugar and water for approximately 20 minutes or so. I put it back in the refrigerator, it's nice and cold, and so you get to mash the cranberries along with the syrup. Okay, so once you have that going there, you want to add, of course, with all of the drinks that I usually make, I usually want to add some type of citrusy drink, and you can use lemon juice. And you want to add approximately 2 ounces of this to your drink so that you don't make it too sour, because you know cranberries are already sour as it is. So once you add a citrusy drink like lime juice or lemon juice, you want to use this raspberry drink, which if you've watched some of my other shows, you see that I use this drink a whole lot for some of these drinks. And now you want to use approximately 1 ounce of this one, not too much, just because you don't want to make it too sweet. Of course, you want to use a little bit of Saint Germain to add that special flavor to it, more like I would say like a vintage flavor to the drink. And you want to add just a little bit of it, maybe half an ounce of that one as well. Then what you want to do is that you want to make sure that all of these flavors are mixed together and you want to make sure that you shake this drink just a little bit before you use the rest of the liquor. And of course, you want to use this here, shake it just a little bit, and then use the Boston shaker, just a little bit, not too much. Then once you have that, then of course you want to use your strainer. And then that's when you come out with your champagne, which I have it nice and chilled in the refrigerator. So here is the nice champagne. Of course, I'm using something not too expensive because we're gonna be shaking it along with something else. And so if you use an expensive champagne, of course, you know, all of the flavors of that expensive champagne will go away. So you wanna use something that it's not too expensive to mix this drink. And so there you go. You have a wonderful reddish color for this particular drink. So I didn't, as you can see, I did not make enough for my fiance. And so I get to drink this one and he gets to drink this one. So salud. Have a wonderful night. Take care. Bye-bye.
Welcome back, Power fans, to my favorite segment, the questions segment. The segment where you get to interact with us. So first up, we have Mike Robb, also known as 007. He was the original. You know how that goes.
So it appears that Kane is going rogue because he wants to have a decision-making role in addition to being an enforcer. But after getting tuned up during his prison visit with his father, the question is, will he toe the line going forward or quietly scheme to break off and start his own network?
Good question, man. That's very valid. I don't think it's so much an internal thing going on with Kane. I think maybe his mom has messed with him because she's always telling him to stay in his lane and all that stuff. And he's bucking because, you know, he thinks he's just as good as the rest of the guys. And he doesn't realize where his strengths lie and where other strengths lie. So he's just trying to think that he's going to be strong in all areas. And he really wants to step up for his dad. I really don't think he's super power hungry, but he has some ego issues at play with that. So, you know, he's going to want to go ahead and make sure that he's considered as valuable and not just some dumb thug. Now, on the other hand, as he mentioned, Mike mentioned, old boy got tuned up. So that only lets you know how powerful Lorenzo is, how he could just control that whole prison. So you can imagine what his name means on the outside. He's been locked up for 10 years and he controls the prison. So with that going on there, you got to think about it like this. There's no way I think that Kane would be dumb enough, and he's been making some dumb moves, but kind of dumb moves, because all the moves that he's been making where he makes mistakes, at least he was thinking. And I can't think that he could think his way out of the box of dad would jack me up even worse than I got tuned up in the prison. So I'm thinking he's not going to try to establish his own thing outside, but I think he's going to try to cause some havoc, but just not get busted at it. They showed a little upcoming scene, so maybe we want to look out for him to do a little small time robbery. So let's check it out soon. Okay, so next up is our man Cam.
What up, Power fans? Hey, my question is, since 2-Bit is out, what side you think gonna be on? Tommy's? Think you'll roll with Kane, or you think you'll roll with Tyreek?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as I mentioned in the show. You know, 2-Bit, thank God he's back, man, honestly. He brings that comic relief going on there, and he brings that intelligent thug to the game, so it's really a dope character. And it's not hurting him that, you know, he, at least at one point in time, was dating the creator of Power. But moving back to Cam's question, I definitely think he's gonna link up with Tommy. I don't think he's linking up with anybody else. He's out now, and he's got Ghost Watch, and he's trying to reestablish himself. And keep in mind, remember he had that burner on the inside, so he has Tommy's number. He can get in contact with Tommy at any point in time. Well, thanks a lot for the questions, guys. Look forward to your input next week, and I'll see you back at the Power Watch.
And what's that sound right there? Oh, you know what it is. Maybe don't. Maybe you don't. All right, hold on a second. Is it off the Bluetooth? Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. I got it.
Yeah, that's why I don't know why he has that thing. Look, we do Apple devices.
Stop it.
Right.
Leave that Samsung thing alone.
Well, this is actually Microsoft.
Yeah.
Same difference.